Welcome to Gyandoot 2.0 program, an initiative of Department of College Education, Rajasthan. Friends, today we are going to talk about the poem Night of the Scorpion, written by Nissim Ezekiel. My name is Bharti Singh Arya, and I am Assistant Professor in the Department of English. Before we begin, let me tell you something about the author, Nissim Ezekiel. Ezekiel was born on 16 December 1924 in Mumbai, Maharashtra, in a Marathi-speaking Jewish family. He was an Indian Jewish poet, actor, playwright, editor, and art critic. His parents were both educators. His mother was a principal in her own school, and father was the professor at Wilson College, Mumbai. He was the foundational figure in post-colonial India's literary history, specifically for Indian writing in English. He was also the proud receiver of many great honors like Sahitya Academy Award in 1983 for poetry collection Latter Day Psalms. And he was honored with the Padma Shri Award in 1988. Night of the Scorpion is an 8-stanza poem which was first anthologized in collected poems written between 1952 to 1988. The poem was written in free verse, which means that Ezekiel did not conform to strict meter and rhyme in the poem. It was also a kind of a new beginning or a shift in the kind of writing, a new aesthetic in the poetry of Ezekiel. Now, the the Sco- Night of the Scorpion is quintessentially an Indian poem in that it shows the meeting of the worlds through a sense of community ties after a specific disastrous event. Now, the poem can be understood at two levels. At one level, the poet describes how, on a rainy night, the narrator's mother is bitten by a scorpion and what are the chain reactions to it. At another level, it depicts the Indian ethos and cultural richness through a simple incident and also epitomizes the typical Indian motherhood, which depicts sacrifice and affection. Ezekiel is known to be a detached observer of the Indian scenario. On one hand, it presents the deep rooted strains of superstition and blind faith. On the other hand, we see it also highlights the positive side of the Indian village life, which is full of fellowship, sympathy, and cooperation shown by the villagers. The title Night of the Scorpion is an apt title because the whole story revolves around the scene revolves around the affair of the incident when the mother is stung by a scorpion. It is the poem is highly commended both for its simple poetic theme and for its well-conceived technique. The plain narrative has a very homely look. So let's begin with the poem. I remember the night my mother was stung by a scorpion. 10 hours of steady rain had driven him to crawl beneath a sack of rice. The narrator reminisces an incident of a night when his mother was stung by a scorpion. Now we see that the beginning is very dry and the narrator seems to be very detached, dispassionate about the incident. And so we simply can say that the poet has not overstated any passions here, and as a detached observer, he is narrating the incident. So he says that one night his mother was stung by a scorpion, and it was due to steady rains, the continuous rains of 10 hours that made the scorpion come out of his hiding place and bit his mother, and he went again to seek shelter under the sack of rice. Parting with his poisoned flash of diabolic tail in the dark room, he risked the rain again. In the second stanza, we see the action of the scorpion parting with his poisoned flash of diabolic tail. Now, the scorpion, after it stung the mother, it went about just in a flash and it hurried out again to risk the rain. He calls his tail diabolic, which means devilish. So his tail is seems devilish to him because in the dark night, in the dark room, it had inserted poison into his mother's body. He went out in a flash because nobody could see him and nobody could do anything about the sting. After hearing about the incident, the peasants came like swarms of flies and buzzed the name of God 100 times to paralyze the evil one. After the incident came into light, the villagers, who were simple peasants, they came like swarms of flies. Now, the poet here compares the villagers to the swarms of flies. He compares them to flies who come in collected numbers. So we see that the villagers, they gathered around the house and they buzzed the name of God. They started praying to God 100 times, and the intention was to paralyze the scorpion and to lessen the effect of the poison. Another important device that the poet uses here is onomatopoeia, when he says that the peasants buzzed the name of God. They were continuously praying to God, and it seemed like the buzz of a bee, just like the bees buzz, and the buzzing sound was very similar to the way the villagers were praying for the mother. They wanted to paralyze the scorpion because there was a belief, it was a superstitious belief of the villagers that if they prayed to God and if God willed, he can stop and make the scorpion still at one place, and the poison would not move further in the body and it would not affect the mother in any harmful way. With candles and with lanterns throwing giant scorpion shadows on the mud baked walls. They searched for him. He was not found. Now, the villagers, the simple villagers, they gathered with candles and lanterns, and we see that they went out in search for the scorpion and throwing giant scorpion shadows on the mud baked walls. As they were moving ahead, their shadows were also getting printed on the walls, the mud baked walls, which appeared like the scorpions. It is just to say that the poet wants to create a scene here with a feeling that the devil was still there, it was still around them. So he says that the shadows on the mud baked walls, they searched for him. He was not found. The continuous search for the scorpion was all in vain, and the search was futile. They clicked their tongues with every movement that the scorpion made. His poison moved in mother's blood, they said. Now they started coming out with their own opinions, and the villagers' opinions are all it's a superstitious opinions and the beliefs, because they click their tongues, and with every movement it is a belief that as the scorpion moves, the poison would also move in mother's blood. So they were getting agitated because they could not find the scorpion. So they kept on clicking their tongues as well. And they were praying for the scorpion to be still wherever it may be. Again, there is a use of onomatopoeic word clicking their tongues. Click. Click is again the sound word which presents an imagery to us where the villagers are worried about the scorpion, about their not being found, they not being able to find the scorpion. May he sit still, they said. May the sins of your previous birth be burned away tonight, they said. May your suffering decrease the misfortunes of your next birth, they said. May the sum of all evil balanced in this unreal world against the sum of good become diminished by your pain. After the villagers kept on searching for the scorpion and they could not find it, they gave up the search and they sat around the mother. They started wishing all kind of things, and they say that may he sit still. May the scorpion does not move anywhere because of the superstitious belief that the poison would also move along with the scorpion. Now here what is highlighted is the belief, the old beliefs, or we can say the superstitious belief of the Indian villagers in reincarnation and previous birth. So it is the primitive belief that there is reincarnation and there is a previous birth also. So by this disastrous incident, they relate it to the previous birth and also say that all this happened because of the sins of the mother's previous birth. So now they provide a kind of consolation to mother by saying that this poison will burn away all the sins of a previous birth, all the misdoings and misdeeds that mother must have done in a previous birth would get burnt away tonight. And all the sufferings that she's having today, this will also lessen the misfortunes of her next birth. They also believe that the sum of all evil will be balanced of this unreal artificial world of today against the sum of good. It will be diminished by the more pain she suffers today. May the poison purify your flesh of desire and your spirit of ambition. Again, the villagers have their opinion and they say that the poison will purify her flesh of desire. All the desires and ambitions that mother had, it will be purified by the poison in her body. And they sat around on the floor with my mother in the center, the peace of understanding on each face. The helpless villagers, the neighbors, they stopped searching for the scorpion and they gathered around mother with the intention of helping her, with the intention of easing out her pain, and they started praying for her. There was a kind of peace of understanding on each face. In fact, they had made peace with the situation now. More candles, more lanterns, more neighbors, more insects, and the endless rain. This is to say that the people collected More and more in number, they gathered around the house. Some were there to see the happenings inside the house, and the others to help mother in some way. My mother twisted through and through, groaning on a mat, and the mother was in acute pain. She was groaning on the mat, lying in extreme pain. My father, skeptic rationalist, trying every curse and blessing, powder mixture herb and hybrid. He even poured a little paraffin upon the bitten toe and put a match to it. We see now the father figure enters the scene. The father is said to be a skeptic rationalist fellow. Rationalist, he is supposed to be a sensible one who, in order to try to save his wife from the poison, he's trying every curse and blessing, powder, mixture, herb, and hybrid, which is very much against his belief. But since he does not know what exactly and how he can help his wife, so he makes every attempt, whatever the villagers have said, whatever comes to his own mind, he tries every possible way to secure mother from the sting of the scorpion. And he went as far as even to pouring a little paraffin upon the bitten toe. He poured paraffin on the toe and also he put a match to it. I watched the flame feeding on my mother. I watched the holy man perform his rites to tame the poison with an incantation. After 20 hours, it lost its sting. The boy was watching everything passively, and he could see how the flame was feeding on his mother's toe. He even saw the holy man who was performing the rites, who was saying the holy verses in order to lessen the pain of mother. And it was finally after 20 hours of acute pain, unbearable pain, that it lost its sting. My mother only said, "Thank God, the scorpion picked on me and spared my children." This is a very interesting ending, and the poet gives it a dramatic irony to it when he says that when the mother gained consciousness, when she woke up, she simply thanked God. She was filled with gratitude and she thanked God, saying that the scorpion bit her and not her children. This is an extremely dramatic ending because we see that in the entire episode, in the entire incident, when the villagers were full of fellow feeling and they were full of sympathy for the mother, were trying hard to remove the sting from the mother's body to lessen the effect of the poison. They were trying every possible way to help mother. The husband also made all efforts to help mother, but finally, when mother woke up and finally when the poison lost its effect, we see the mother has a way and she only thanks God to to say that her children were saved. Once again, we see that it symbolizes mother's Indian motherhood and also it depicts the sacrifice and selfless love of every mother. Here, every reader can associate himself and can relate himself with the kind of ending the poet has given to the poem. And every reader feels appreciated and is full of gratitude towards mother when she says that at least God spared her children. This is the true love of mother, her selfless affections, and a sense of sacrifice for her children. Thank you.